As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sound of Golden Blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 15 to 10 to 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tay Von Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels feared to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride!
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
We've no doubt tonight they shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night!
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into another live stream here on the Country Roads webcast. Got another exciting one with another transfer portal update that is a transfer commitment for West Virginia, and it comes at the skill position again. Another running back that West Virginia brings in. This time it's one with multiple years of eligibility remaining. We talked about Jalen Knighton recently, a really exciting addition with 1 year left. Now we add another running back that's very exciting as well with multiple years of eligibility remaining, and he's another guy with speed, with explosiveness. We'll take a look at some of his standout plays, and you guys can get a glimpse of his game, but excited about this addition. So we'll be talking about the recent transfer commitment of Kannon Katzer here on the front end of the show, and then, of course, towards the back half of the show. Won't keep you guys too long today, but we will update the transfer target list as some guys that West Virginia was going after have committed to other places. We're adding a couple more names to that transfer target list, guys that are going to be visiting this week or visiting as we speak currently even. So super exciting stuff here as this transfer portal season continues for WVU football. We're going to talk a commitment. We're going to update the target list, talk about guys that may be on commitment watch. As we know, Katzer was on commitment watch here in the previous stream that we talked about. West Virginia lands him a couple days later. So super excited about this edition. We're going to get into it momentarily. Before I do, want to remind you guys that are watching live over on Facebook or Twitch here on this Friday morning as we begin May here, May 2nd. Come over to the Country Roads Webcast YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe here so you can get access to the pre-recorded videos and podcast episodes we put out in addition to these live streams. But those of you that are here on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Help us with that YouTube algorithm before you head out. You can do that whether you're watching live or if you're watching this after the fact on the replay. It still helps us either way, and we appreciate that. And I know I'm doing this one a little bit earlier than usual. Didn't get to it last night, so decided to come at it bright and early this morning. So may not have as many people in the live chat, and that's fine. But you guys can still throw your thoughts in the comment section there in the video. Always appreciate those interactions as well as we continue to try and grow the CRW community throughout Mountaineer Nation. So who is Kannon Katzer? Let's learn about him. Let's talk about him. He's a running back that's going to be transferring back up to Division I, to the FBS level, where he began his career there at Washington State, played at Ferris State last season, and man, was he explosive. We're talking nearly 9 yards per carry. I'll show some of his highlights so you guys can get a glimpse of his game yourself, but I think you're going to be excited about this addition to West Virginia's running back room, which is shaping up to be absolutely loaded for the upcoming season. You guys know Jaheim White. That's my guy. Got the autographed jersey back there behind me. I think he's set for a huge season in Rich Rod's offense, a scheme where he'll be properly utilized and utilized better than he was under the previous regime. And we know he has excellent talent. So I think he's set for a huge year. I think you got a really good power back in Ty Edwards that can help you in short yardage situations. When you need to get a yard or two, you can bring him in. 6'4", 230 pounds. No joke there with his size. and he has experience, a ton of experience at the FCS level. And then, of course, you guys heard me rave about Jalen Knighton recently, what he brings to the table with his speed, with his ability to catch passes, but he only has 1 year remaining. And we know Jaheim's on the tail end of his career as well, could have one more year after this year if he wants it. So, you're losing Ty Edwards after this season, you're losing Jalen Knighton. Jaheim's, an upperclassman. So you need some young guys you can count on as well. Still have Dewar Hubbard on the roster, who they like a lot. Still have Clay Ash. But now I think you add another guy to the mix in Kannon Katzer, who maybe could potentially even be the future at that position, depending on how things pan out with future additions to that running back room. West Virginia bringing in some really talented guys in the 2026 recruiting class and in next year's 2027 recruiting class as well with Armand Hill. But I think when you look at the roster this year, you kind of wondering, man, how are all that going to split all these carries up? And the way I kind of see it is I think with Katzer, you get a couple of things. You get a guy that can help you not only this year, but can help you down the road. I think he brings the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, much like Jalen Knighton does, which is a big part of the Rich Rod offense. And I think also it gives you a little bit of an insurance policy, right? Because the only negative side that we had to talk about with Jalen Knighton was his injury history. So, if something was to pop up there, knock on wood, at least you have an insurance policy that's kind of a similar type player now in Kannon Katzer, who has speed, who can catch the ball out of the backfield. And I think, even if that doesn't happen, which we hope it doesn't, we love to have this loaded running back room and carries for all these guys. I think I see it as Jaheim White, kind of your every down back, getting the majority of the carries, Ty Edwards being used in short yardage. But we know Rich Rod likes to have 3 running backs to, be ready to go because of how much they run the ball in his offense. You need that. So I think you're looking at your 3 running backs that'll probably receive carries being Jaheim White, Jalen Knighton, and then probably a competition for that third spot between Kannon Katzer, who I think is a great candidate to end up as that third guy receiving carries. And then your couple other young guys, Dewar Hubbard, Clay Ash, and then Ty Edwards maybe factors in there as well. But I think he'll be utilized a lot in short yardage, goal line packages and stuff. But Katzer, really exciting. Just want to talk about how loaded this running back room was before we dive in on him individually, because I think it's super exciting, the running back room West Virginia has coming up for this upcoming season, especially in the Rich Rod offense. What's going on, Andrew Smith? Good to see you in the comments. Let's go Mountaineers indeed. Good morning to you as well, my friend. But let's talk a little bit about Kannon Katzer. Let's pull up the commitment announcement here from yesterday, and then we'll talk a little bit about his game and take a look at some of his plays and why you guys can see I'm excited about his addition, much like I was with Jalen Knighton. This came from Chris Hummer at 247 Sports. Ferris State running back transfer Kannon Katzer has committed to WVU, his agency told 247. He began his career at Washington State, but ran for 1,128 yards on nearly 9 yards per carry this past season at Ferris State. And he will, of course, transfer to WVU. West Virginia got in on him quick, offered him a scholarship, got him in on a visit, and got him to commit in pretty short order. So you can tell that they were trying to get that done before anyone else could get in on him. And I think when you see the tape, you'll realize why. So there was the first major announcement that I saw of it, but Katzer did put out his own announcement on his social media. Let me see if I have that here. I do believe that I pulled that up as well. He says, thank you to all the coaches who have built relationships with me and recruited me. With that being said, blessed to announce my commitment to WVU football. And you see his commitment graphic there. I mean, he tweeted not long after that he was listening to Country Roads ever since his visit. So definitely, making himself out to maybe be a fan favorite during his time here. And I think his game will definitely do that as well. I mean, we've talked about him on previous streams. Last stream, we had him on Commitment Watch and talked about how explosive I thought he was when he looked at the tape. But let's show you guys a little bit of that right now. Let's talk about Kannon Katzer's tape here, because I think that this is something that will get you excited about this edition for the Mountaineers, much like we talked about with Jalen Knighton. Now, of course, the question here with Katzer is, can he do it at the FBS level, in the power conference level? Obviously, Washington State's thought so when they recruited him, to come join their program. Didn't work out there. Bounces back to the FCS level here at Ferris State, but had a phenomenal season now coming back up to Division I, to FBS, and to a power conference program at WVU. Can he work at this level? I think when you look at the tape, he really can. I think that he's a guy that you can give carries to, that he can make some things happen. He can maybe even hit a home run for you, because he certainly does have good speed. You'll see him run away from guys in these clips, but I won't play this whole entire tape. I'll try and link it in the video description, but I will take a look at some of these plays. And I think what stands out the most to me, even more so than his explosion and his speed, is his kind of contact balance, his ability to bounce off of hits and keep going, his ability to run through arm tackles. You're going to see a lot of that here in these few plays. So let's take a look here at Kannon Katzer, the new addition to the WVU running back room. Number 30 here on the tape. And just look at the way he just spins out of that hit and then finds the end zone. Great nose for the end zone there to even stretch out and get the ball over. And here he is again, couple arm tackles and just runs right through him, man. Keeps those legs moving. And then there you see a little bit of the speed at the tail end of that one. And look at his vision, the way he's able to read and weave through there. I think that he'll be a great fit in that Rich Rod offense where, you take those read option handoffs and you can, hit the front lane, you can hit the cutback lane, you can bounce it outside, and he has a great vision to know where to take the ball on all of these plays. And then you see there at the end, lowering the shoulder on the safety who should have had a tackle on him to get into the end zone, which is what you love to see there. And then you see a nice jump cut in the hole, and here you see a little bit of the speed. And then yet again, watch this right here. Look at that great balance. Most people would have just stepped out of bounds right there, stayed in bounds, and got into the end zone. That's that nose for the end zone I'm talking about. And one more here that showcases the speed really good as he heads up the sideline there. So that's about half of that full highlight tape that he has, but he also has highlights of each individual game on his huddle you guys should check out. But definitely wanted to share some of that as we're excited about the addition of Kannon Katzer, the latest West Virginia transfer in. So with that being said, and now taking a look at his game here and talking about the loaded running back room at West Virginia, let's pull up our transfer portal tracker and add him to our transfer in list. And then here in a moment, we'll go through and clear out this list and add some names. We've added a couple names to the bottom, rather, I guess I should say. So where are you, Kannon Katzer? I know you're on this list somewhere. There you are. So Kannon Katzer goes from our transfer target list, having been on commitment watch on a previous stream, to now joining our transfer in list, which continues to grow for WVU, and they're not done yet. Not by any means. We'll talk about some more of the targets they have upcoming, but another really good addition to the running back room, 5'9", 190, is Kannon Katzer. You saw the speed, you see the contact balance, and you can see why West Virginia was wanting him to transfer to Mountaineers. Signs with WVU. We add him to our transfer in list here, joining Jalen Knighton as the only running back transfers that I think West Virginia will bring in right here in this class to join that running back room, which looks absolutely loaded for the upcoming season. So there's the full list of transfers in as we update it now. Of course, in the previous stream, we talked about 4 commitments: Kalen Gray, John Lewis, Carson Lee, Darian Lewis, and Kannon Katzer. I put out a podcast less than a week ago talking about the transfer class. And since that time, I think we've had 8 transfers in the past few days for the West Virginia. Of course, 4 of those coming in one day. Katzer, the lone one that came in yesterday, but joining Knighton, who came in just a couple of days ago, like we said, continues to make that West Virginia running back room one that we're really excited about for the upcoming season in this Rich Rod offense. So we've added Kannon Katzer to our transfer in list now, and we're excited about his game, showcased a few of his big-time plays there. The other thing that we want to do on this stream now is update the transfer target list as well. So we'll get to that momentarily. Let me take a swig of my coffee. We'll remove some names from the list. We've added a couple names to the list, and a couple of those names are coming out on visits. So, that may mean commitment watch. So we'll talk about which names on this target list are on commitment watch as well, much like Katzer was and commits to WVU. All right, so a couple people in here in the live chat this morning. Glad to see some people up at it early with me. Devil Dog 44 says Rich Rod version 2.0 has been attacking every aspect of the football machine this time around. Recruiting, portal, coaching staff himself, making everyone better. Hey, well said, Devil Dog 44. Couldn't have said it better myself. Things are looking up. Things are looking up for the future of the football team for sure. Hey, Tim Young, good to see you, man. CRW with the blue and gold hearts. Appreciate that, Tim. Devil Dog 44 said Rich Rod had an excellent interview with Josh Pate. If no one else has watched it, I highly recommend it, as do I. Really good interview there. I'll actually share one of my favorite clips from that interview. Let me make sure I got that pulled up to share here momentarily. I think, did I not pull it up? Thought that I pulled that up too. If not, I want to pull that up. We'll share that clip here at the end. There it is. I do have it pulled up. Okay, so we'll share that clip at the end as well. I appreciate that reminder, Devil Dog 44. I need to make sure I had that pulled up. But all right, let's talk a little bit about the transfer targets West Virginia's after now. Like we said, not done yet by any means in the portal, continuing to go after guys at multiple positions. But let's update the list by taking off some guys that have committed elsewhere. First of all, some guys that we added recently, even including West Florida defensive lineman Trayvon Mitchell, guy that we recently added to the list. He commits to USF. Pete Nako, Savon 3 sharing that one on social media. So we'll go ahead. We'll remove him from our transfer target list here. Let's pull that back up, take his name off. of our target list. Let's see. He's down here. Should be down this way somewhere. There he is, Trayvon Mitchell. Go ahead and remove him from our transfer target list. He's one name that is off of the list as we continue to try and clear this thing out a little bit. Shout out to Mountaineers Report, who's been helping me keep up with these guys that have committed elsewhere for sure. Then Tennessee transfer safety, one that we had previously targeted, John Slaughter, actually announced his commitment to Colorado. So we can remove John Slaughter from the list as well, which he was one of the earliest names we had on the list. West Virginia targeted him way early in the process. He certainly took some time to make his decision. You don't see that a lot in the portal, but Slaughter was one that did that, but he chooses Colorado. So we'll take John Slaughter off our transfer target list as well. A couple others here at least that have committed elsewhere. And then we got to talk about a couple new names that we're adding to the list as well. Zaylin Smith, who we just talked about, defensive lineman from Houston Christian, transferring to Cal. Actually, he announced that one from Rivals Portal there on social media. So recent addition to the list that we thought was going to come to WVU on a visit doesn't end up making it here that I know of. So we can go ahead and remove him from the list as well. That being Zay Smith, the defensive lineman there. Take him off the list there. As we continue to update our transfer target list here. Who else did we have? Jaden McDonald, the Virginia Tech linebacker we were targeting, trying to get him in on a visit. Actually never made it to his visit. That I don't believe. I believe he ended up signing with UCF before he made it to WVU, as far as I know. But I could be wrong about that. Could have came to WVU and then made his decision after that. But either way, ends up signing with UCF, so we could remove him from our transfer target list here. Let's pull that back up and take Jaden McDonald off the list here. So we'll go ahead and remove linebacker Jaden McDonald, the Virginia Tech transfer, as he's committed elsewhere. Let's see. Do I have any others? I know there's another one I got to remove, but maybe I don't have that tweet pulled up. So let me pull back up the transfer target list. I apparently didn't have this tweet pulled up, but another one that we can remove is defensive back Noah King that West Virginia was targeting. He's actually committed to Colorado, and he was an interesting one because that's a true freshman transfer. So it's one we were keeping an eye on, but he commits to Colorado as well, so we'll remove him. So for now, this is how the transfer list stands for West Virginia, and we got a couple of new names here at the bottom. You guys know last stream we added several. We added Crowder, Scathings, Grant, and Abney. This time we've added two more receivers. So you see West Virginia still, heavily targeting the receiver position, looking to add probably at least one or two more there. As you see, still 5 names on the target list there at the receiver position. And I think offensive line still remains the thing where West Virginia's going to add 1 to 2 more offensive linemen probably still yet. You see a couple of targets still on the list there at the offensive line spot. And you see, linebacker, edge rusher, definitely something they're targeting as well, as both Boykin and Grant are edge rushers. So let's talk about the 2 new additions to the transfer list here for transfer target list here for West Virginia. Then we'll talk about who's on commitment watch. So let's highlight a little bit of these guys here, which funny enough, I do believe both of these guys are either on visits or coming in on visits. So we'll talk about each of them, both at the wide receiver position. First up, let's talk Logan Ramper. And he put out here on social media, West Virginia offered, and you see he just put this out a couple of days ago on April 30th, a wide receiver from Slippery Rock. And then he also just recently put this out. So he is coming in on a visit. So definitely seems like West Virginia is trying to get him into the fold, because just yesterday he put out Morgantown, see you tomorrow. So he's going to be visiting WVU today, actually. The receiver from Slippery Rock, Logan Ramper, see him share his official visit graphic there. So what do we need to know about Logan Ramper? Let's pull up his page here on the Slippery Rock site, his bio, learn a little bit about what he did this past season. It's a guy with 1 year of eligibility remaining. And when we've talked about West Virginia, they're targeting outside receivers in this portal cycle because that's what they need. They went out and got some speedy guys. And I think now they're trying to maybe get some size. When you look at Logan Ramper, 6'4", 215 pounds. That's a body that West Virginia doesn't really have on the roster right now, is someone with that type of frame and length. And he really had a good standout season there at Slippery Rock the past couple of years. This past year, 748 yards and 8 touchdowns. Over his career there, 1,165 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns. And like I said, you love the size there of Logan Ramper. One, West Virginia is certainly targeting, getting him in quick after they offered the scholarship, getting him in on a visit just a couple of days later, kind of showcases that, similar to what they did with Katzer, who we talked about, that committed in this video. So we'll keep an eye on Logan Ramper as well. He's one wide receiver we've added to the transfer target list. And then we got to talk about Trayvon Tate, another West Virginia receiver West Virginia is targeting here. As you see, he has put out on social media that he is on a visit to WVU, actually, because it was not long after WV Sports Now, our friends over there, put out that West Virginia was looking at a D2 star receiver. He's from Clarion. He says, "I'm here," which then led Jeff Cobb to confirming that he is indeed on a visit to WVU. Transfer wide receiver on a visit to WVU. So looks like Trayvon Tate visited yesterday, and we have Logan Ramper visiting today. So both of these new targets are actually both visiting WVU, both at the wide receiver position. And Tate is also super intriguing because he was actually an honorable mention All-American there at the FCS level and an all-conference player. You look here, 1,137 yards receiving and 65 receptions to go with 5 touchdowns. So definitely highly targeted there at Clarion was Trayvon Tate. So we'll keep an eye on him as well. An All-American receiver there from the FCS level at Clarion, another one that's visiting WVU. So we have both the Slippery Rock receiver, Logan Ramper, and the Clarion receiver, Trayvon Tate, in on visits to WVU over the past couple of days. And then we also have another one that we just added to the list recently, Devin Grant, who is an edge rusher from Incarnate Word, which, funny enough, #1 pick in the NFL draft. Cam Ward also began his career at Incarnate Word. But Devin Grant told On3 that he will be visiting West Virginia this upcoming weekend. So another visitor that we have upcoming is Devin Grant, who was a former Colorado transfer, went down to Incarnate Word and totaled 11 TFLs, 8.5 sacks, and a forced fumble, while forcing 24 quarterback hurries as well. So definitely someone that can get after the passer. We like Devin Grant and his game. So excited that he's coming in on a visit as well. So with that being said, let's pull back up the transfer portal tracker. Now we've talked about multiple guys that have visited or will be visiting. Let's talk about, of this remaining target list, who's on commitment watch right now, because Katzer was on commitment watch and he committed. Same for, Knight and a while back. Some of these other additions, Carson Lee had him on commitment watch, because the way we kind of like to do it is once they make it on a visit, we're going to put them on commitment watch here in the CRW. Sometimes that goes West Virginia's way. Sometimes it doesn't. More often than not, it does, though, because once you get them here on a visit, you're usually in pretty good standing with them. And a lot of times, they learn a lot about WVU on the visit and they get blown away by the facilities and stuff that they are not expecting. So let's hope that happens with some of these guys that we're going to put on commitment watch here in this stream. And that continues to be Jacob Robinson, a defensive back from Emory and Henry, Jalen Caldwell, an offensive lineman from Grand Valley State who visited this week, Elijah Boykin, a linebacker from Barton College who's going to be visiting that we just talked about on the previous stream, Donovan Haslam, another offensive lineman from Austin P that visited WVU. West Virginia could land both of those guys and end up maybe done on the offensive line, could land one of the two and then go out and seek to add another one. I would love to see West Virginia pick up both those guys, both massive human beings that would be great to have up front. Other than that, of course, linebacker Devin Grant, if he makes it here this weekend. Of course, he's scheduled to visit WVU this weekend. If he ends up making it to that visit, like our chances there, we'll put him on commitment watch. And then definitely the two receivers that we've added to the list in this stream, Trayvon Tate from Clarion and Logan Ramper from Slippery Rock, both on commitment watch now that they are in Morgantown on a visit as we speak here. So that's the target list as it stands currently. Those are two of 5 receivers that West Virginia has been targeted or has offered scholarships to, but those two are in on a visit, so they're going to be the ones that we keep on commitment watch for right now. So Ramper, Tate, Devin Grant, if he makes it here this weekend, Donovan Haslam, Aaliyah Boykin, and Jalen Caldwell, as well as Jacob Robinson, all currently on commitment watch for WVU. We'll see what happens as West Virginia continues to try and expand this transfer class. There's one more look at the transfer in list for you guys watching the video here. This will be uploaded to all podcast platforms after the fact as well. Try and do a better job of putting those live streams from the YouTube side up for you guys on the audio side. But West Virginia doing an excellent job in the portal, and you see them even getting some recognition for that on the football side as CFBselect.com put out, these are the teams that best loaded in the transfer portal this offseason, and West Virginia featured here on this graphic with many other power conference programs, Southern Miss sneaking on there as well. But glad to see West Virginia getting some recognition for the job they're doing here in the portal. And like we said, not done yet. I think they still have some talented players they're targeting that we would love to see them bring in, much like Kannon Katzer, who we got to talk about in this live stream, which I'm excited about that running back room. I think it's absolutely loaded for the upcoming season, and I think he's going to be a good player for years to come for WVU, as he has 2 years of eligibility remaining. So someone that can help you not only this year, but in the future. So that's pretty much what I had, guys. Wanted to talk about the commitment of Kannon Katzer, showcase his game a little bit, and why I think he's an important addition to a now loaded running back room, which is important in a Rich Rod offense, obviously. And then we wanted to update the transfer target list with guys that committed elsewhere, and then the new targets for West Virginia that are now on commitment watch as well. So with that being said, let me catch up on some of your all's comments, and then I will share this nice clip from that interview that we were talking about earlier that Rich Rod did with Josh Pate. And this interview, this clip just gives me chills, man, because it's not the first time he's talked about this. He's talked about it multiple times since he came back, that his goal was to win a national championship at West Virginia. That's why he came back, because, he was on the cusp of it before, and now wants to really, come back and have unfinished business, kind of complete that goal this time. It's certainly his main goal, I think, with as much as he's talked about it. And this clip really is, kind of him talking about that again as well. So super exciting. We'll end the stream after that, but let me catch up with some comments really quickly first. Whisker says, keep on keeping on, Jordan. Appreciate that, Whisker. We will continue to do that, continue to try and keep you guys up to date on all this transfer portal madness here throughout the offseason. Andrew Smith said, I liked that interview. Some people had a problem with it, though. I don't know why, man. I loved it. I thought everything he said to me only got me more excited for, his 2.0 era and for the upcoming season and for what they're trying to do here. Because every time I've heard Rich Rod talk, and you guys have heard me say this on streams throughout the spring as we covered all the press conferences, I love that the main focus is, of course, on winning. Like that gets brought up in almost every press conference, and it's just a total change in mentality, and I think it's what we need. So I don't understand why people were upset about it, but hey, to each their own, I guess. Hey, channel member WVU Earl, good morning. Good to see you in here as well. James Green, appreciate you. Says, can't wait for the season to start this year. Great content again, Jordan. Hey, appreciate the kind words, James. I can't wait either, man. I can't wait either. Devil Dog 44 says, competition breeds champions. The more talent in each room, the better. Blue blood programs have 5-star talent riding the bench. Exactly. Never going to turn down good football players. West Virginia is not. And, no matter how loaded the room is, if a guy wants to come here, come on in. Competition's only going to raise the level of quality in the room. And I think that's what we have going on in the running back room. A lot of iron sharpening iron for the upcoming season, which I'm excited about, guys. And I think I'm excited about the Rich Rod era, how it's shaping up, especially with some of the moves they've made here in the portal with the coaching staff, just all of that. I think they're doing a really good job. And I think that this transfer portal cycle, some of the ads that are being made this time are going to be even more impactful than some of the ads that were made in the original cycle. So love the way things are shaping up. But before we wrap up, appreciate all you guys that got in here in the live chat. You guys that didn't get a chance to chat here live, throw your thoughts in the comment section on the YouTube side. Appreciate that as well. Those of you that watch on Facebook or Twitch, be sure to come over to the YouTube channel, subscribe here, click that notification bell so you can get the pre-recorded videos, the podcast episodes, all the extra coverage that we do over here on the YouTube side. And if you are someone that watches on YouTube, whether live or after the fact on a replay, hit that thumbs up button. Help us with that YouTube algorithm. We appreciate that as well. Let's check out this clip from that interview that we were referencing earlier, Rich Rod with Josh Pate. And this was my favorite clip from the interview. CBS Sports College Football shared it on social media, and glad they did, because I wanted to share it with you guys as well. So let's check it out here. Rich Rod talking about some interesting things that got me excited for sure. Oh, make sure I shared the audio too there. Okay.
25 years ago, you tell a kid to run through the wall, and he'll run through the wall and not have asked questions, right? Now they'll still do it, but they want to know why. If you don't give them the right answer, they'll Google it on their phones like, this ain't what it says here. So they're smarter. So sometimes you can still get them to do what you want them to do, but you have to be more explanatory in nature. You got to tell them why. And you got to know what you're talking about. Players, I think good players want to be coached. All right, but when you coach them, they got to see that you're making them better. That's the same thing the NFL's always done, is you get really talented grown men making millions of dollars, but they'll still listen to you coach if they know you can make them better, or they know you can help extend their careers. And we're doing the same thing now. I mean, our guys are basically getting paid now, but they want to get better. And we owe it to them to coach. Some of my colleagues that have just throw their hands up and say, well, I can't coach these guys anymore. You're giving up on yourself and you're giving up on them. We're going to still coach. Our culture is still going to be the same. And I think our players want to be coached.
Do you find that the guys who still exhibit those characteristics, they stick out even more than they would have 20 years ago. 50 years ago, it seems like anyone that was in a football locker room by default, they just had that, or the way of the world back then would have filtered them out.
The number one problem I think in youth today is entitlement. There's so much more entitlement, it seems like to me, and a lot of I guess older folks, maybe you call me an older folk, or are just saying, golly, and they just complain about it instead of trying to correct it. And that's what we try to do here. It's like, we don't want any sense of entitlement in our program, from anybody. And we have a motto of earned success. So whatever success we're going to have, or they're going to have individually and us as a team, is going to be earned. And when you earn it, you get rewarded. And I think that's kind of the model that we have to adhere to. Like, we're going to have all the things you got to have to win a national championship. We might not have the extra stuff that some of the programs have, but we're going to have enough. But what we got to have, what's non-negotiable, is the earned success model and the hard edge mentality that we got to exhibit every day.
You don't doubt you can still pull that off, do you?
No, I wouldn't have come back if I didn't think we could win a national championship. I had a great situation at Jack State. I could have stayed there and finished my career, but I wanted to come back. It's home. People that I care about, the school that I love, and you can win it all here. And there's always going to be challenges, but we have a lot of support. And when you do, and we do well here, and I know the state, of course, when you do well here, it is so neat to see everybody in the state come together, and that's kind of our goal.
Man, he said, I wouldn't have come back here if I didn't think I could win a national championship. That speaks volumes to me, and that tells you right there what his main goal is at the end of the day. And, he's going to stay here as long as it takes for him to do that, and then he can ride off into the sunset and, kind of write his legacy. And, he had us right on the cusp of it before, like I said, and now he's hoping to achieve that goal. I don't see how anyone could be upset about that personally, but hey, like I said, to each their own. I think it's great. That's what I've always wanted, since I became a WVU fan way back when, was to try and cheer for them to reach that national championship, and came close when I was in high school back in that 07 season, and hopefully gets us back to that point again. The fact that he's, dead set on that being his goal, I think is a good sign for us and a positive sign for the future of WVU football. But wanted to share that clip with you guys because that was one that really excited me. As Jeff Keys says here, appreciate you, Jeff. Freaking awesome. That's right. I thought it was as well, man. Thought it was as well. And can't wait to see what happens with the future of WVU football. Think really bright stuff here ahead of us in the WVU football program with what they've done staff-wise, with what they're doing here with building this roster. And we'll continue to cover the building of this roster here on the Country Roads webcast as more transfers come in, as more are targeted, all of that good stuff. Hopefully we'll be back here in the near future talking about another commitment. I feel confident that we will be, but I appreciate you guys for tuning into this one with me. Like I said, a little bit live here early on a Friday morning, but it'll be up on the playback for you guys on YouTube and be up on the audio side for others that don't catch it here live. If you didn't get a chance to chat live, throw your thoughts in the comments, hit the thumbs up button before you head out, help us out with that crazy YouTube algorithm, and be sure you're subscribed here to stay up to date with what's going on with West Virginia in the transfer portal, their entire roster, and everything in the lead up to the start of the Rich Rod 2.0 era, guys. Appreciate you all. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.